Now, just a disclaimer. During this video, you'll probably hear some roosters in the background. Please don't pay any attention to those birds. We've got lots of chickens at our house. Check out this rooster right here. Harvey. Where was I? Running 26.2 miles seems like a daunting task. Who in the right mind would want to pay money to go through such torture? That was my mentality several years ago until I got hooked. Now I'm continually searching for a race to run, and perhaps you are contemplating running your first full marathon, yet you don't think you can. So the purpose of this video is to inspire you and encourage you to take that bold step and choose a race to sign up for. Then begin the training process. I want to share 4 secrets that help me prepare for the grueling task of completing my first full marathon. Now, in case you didn't already know, fewer than 1% of Americans have ever run a full marathon. So I congratulate you for watching this video and even considering running 26.2 miles. First of all, you need to make time. You're probably not going to be able to find time in your schedule, especially for those long weekend runs. Therefore, it's imperative that you plan on making this a temporary priority in your life. Now understand that not everyone is going to be as excited as you are about this endeavor. However, remember that this is only for a specific amount of time, so make sure to remind them of that from time to time. The good news is that if you run on a consistent basis and have maintained your aerobic base, then you don't need to have a 6-month marathon training plan. You'll be fine to cut that in half to around 3 months of serious training. Don't mind those roosters. I tend to only run 1 full marathon per year at my age. I also do maybe a couple half marathons as well as a 5 or 10K throughout the year. My biggest suggestion to you is that you maintain a certain level of fitness throughout the entire year. That way, you don't have to always start at ground zero when preparing for a marathon. When you do find a marathon that you'd like to enter, you'll want to look for a training plan. I'll typically find something that is suitable for my schedule and then tweak it as it seems necessary. So make sure you carve out plenty of time to properly prepare yourself for race day. Secondly, consistency is king. Now remember, what I'm talking about is in relationship to not just finishing the marathon, but doing well. And having a consistent training schedule is the best way to achieve that goal. This means sticking to the plan. The more consistent you are in putting in the miles, building your aerobic base, learning how to push through the pain, the better prepared that you'll be. Now I understand that life will throw you some curveballs from time to time. There'll be days when you just don't feel well, you'll be under the weather, or you'll feel overly fatigued. Sometimes other people's schedules compete with your schedule, and some compromises need to be made. But to the best of your ability, you need to be consistent with your training. You'll see very little progress if you're up one week and down the next week. For example, if you only complete half of your mileage one week, don't try to double your mileage the next week. In that scenario, you'll end up with an injury perhaps, or you'll become more prone to fatigue. So remember, the key is consistency. If you're enjoying this video, then I'm certain that you'll enjoy watching this video in which I share 6 tips that help me qualify for the Boston Marathon. So make sure you click that. Number 3, avoid distractions. Now, as I said earlier, there'll be people that will think you're crazy, think you're nuts, and try to talk you out of it. There'll be people that will be competing for your time. But just like a horse with blinders, you need to stay focused during this time. Another form of distraction will be your own mind. I have learned that my greatest opponent is the one that I look at in the mirror every single day. You'll have days that crazy thoughts will enter your head, thoughts that question, man, what am I doing? Is this really worth it? You'll have thoughts of quitting. Now, these are all negative thought patterns that will try to distract you from completing the goal of finishing a marathon. And I want to encourage you to believe in yourself and stick to the process. You can do it. Think about accomplishing something that fewer than 1% of Americans have ever done. That's totally awesome. And number 4, you need to embrace advice. In other words, don't listen to people that have only negative things to say, or listening to people that have no clue of what running is all about. I mean, don't take advice from folks that have never even run a marathon in their life. I remember when I was preparing to run my first marathon, I was asking a ton of questions from people that had done it before. I was always reading articles in Runner's World magazines for tips, tricks. And today, we live in the information age, and at the click of a mouse, you and I have access to so much information. And I would encourage you to look at other YouTube channels that talk about running and marathon training. If you do listen to podcasts, I recommend subscribing to the weekly podcast by Trevor and Angie Spencer of Marathon Training Academy. Their motto is, you have what it takes to run a marathon and change your life. So in general, be selective about the advice you're getting, because for some of us older runners, the advice from a 22-year-old may not be suitable if you're in their 50s or 60s. So in a nutshell, the more information you gather, the better prepared that you'll be. So don't plan on running a full marathon without any knowledge of what's ahead of you. That's a recipe for disaster. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Perhaps you are not quite ready to make that gigantic step of running a full 26.2 mile marathon. In that case, check out this video where I share a few tips that help me prepare for the 13.1 mile half marathon. Once again, thank you for watching, and don't forget to keep the fun in the run, and I'll see you in the next video.